There are quite some warning signs you could experience when dating or in a relationship with a narcissist. Mostly, these red flags become clear in hindsight, but this video provides insight into recognizing narcissists in an earlier stage. It's important to have knowledge of these red flags in order to recognize them as soon as possible. The fact you are here means you probably realize or feel intuitively something is not right. You might experience some manipulative or unpredictable behavior that you don't really understand or seems off. It's important to ask yourself good questions about this and think about whether you want to be in a relationship in which you need to deal with all kinds of unhealthy and manipulative behavior. To be clear, this video doesn't aim to diagnose someone as having narcissistic personality disorder, but rather tries to inform you about manipulative narcissistic behavior and corresponding signs. In a way, the label narcissist is not relevant as you are dealing with the actual behavior of this person. Therefore, we will focus on the behavior shown. I hope this video can be helpful to you. A narcissist can be very charming and attentive, which feels great in the beginning. Sadly, it will result in an exhausting and draining experience in a later stage of the relationship. When in a relationship with a narcissist, you are likely to feel anxious, doubtful, confused, and less like yourself. It can be hard to think straight and clearly see what's going on. It could seem strange that we need to learn to recognize unhealthy behavior, but those that have experienced abusive narcissists know the truth can become blurry when under the influence of a narcissist. A narcissist can make it very hard to see that certain behavior is unhealthy, as they tend to mirror their victims, manipulate and blame it all on their victim. My video series going into cognitive dissonance explains how truth can become blurry in the mind of a victim. You could be manipulated by a narcissist into seeking the problem within yourself all the time. It will feel like walking on eggshells and you might feel less worthy. I hope this video helps in recognizing unhealthy behavior and acknowledging this behavior is not yours nor your fault. Knowledge is power, and acknowledging the situation you're in is an important first step. Now, a narcissist is characterized by a lack of empathy, a need for admiration, validation, and an increased ego. These characteristics result in abusive and self-centered behavior that can have a large impact on you and others. There can be quite a variety in types of narcissists, and their behavior can play out in many different ways. It's a very draining and brutal experience when being a victim of a narcissist. I'm sorry if you're experiencing this or have experienced it. A narcissist will not hesitate to lie, cheat, manipulate, control, or gaslight you. There are many signs that could indicate your partner might be a narcissist. Now, I will go into 12 warning signs you might be in a relationship with a narcissist and questions you can ask yourself to possibly recognize these signs. The first sign is the use of all kinds of threats. If this person doesn't hesitate to threaten you in some way, you might be dealing with a narcissist. Clearly, it's unhealthy manipulative behavior to use threats in order to gain some sense of control. In a long relationship or marriage, a narcissist could even use the suicide threat or physical threats. Examples of using threats vary a lot and could be, for example, I will tell your friends and family what kind of person you really are. Or, if I'm so bad, why don't you just leave me? I don't need you. In general, threats will be part of mentally abusing you and trying to gain control over you. Ask yourself if these sort of threats are being used. Recognize that making threats is their behavior and not your responsibility. Try to see your behavior and their behavior as separate things. Making threats is abusive, manipulative, and very unhealthy behavior. Think about what this behavior tells you about them and don't seek it in yourself. Another warning sign of narcissism could be feeling entitled and expecting preferential treatment. You're supposed to do what they ask of you and they act as if you owe them. A narcissist doesn't care about the need or feelings of others. They only care if it affects themselves in some way. This behavior will clearly show a lack of empathy. A narcissist will often behave like it's normal that their needs should be fulfilled without considering the needs of others. In their twisted mindset, you should be thankful of them allowing you to fulfill their needs. It's caused by a feeling of superiority. A narcissist is so convinced of their truth that it can be hard to realize for you that it's not normal behavior. You could think about whether your needs and feelings seem to be equally as important as their needs and feelings. Is there a balance in this or not? The third signal is that this person is trying to make you feel guilty a lot. A narcissist likes to abuse the good characteristics of you. They will possibly trigger your feelings of empathy and responsibility. If you have a tendency to avoid conflict or question yourself, this will be happily used to make you feel guilty as well. They could say they have given you so much and claim you are ungrateful. A narcissist also loves to play the victim and using that to force you to help them. As you are a good person, you would need to help someone asking for help, right? This would be a narcissist abusing your need or wish to help others. Think about whether it seems to always be your fault in the relationship and if your partner says things to make you doubt yourself a lot. Are they blaming or accusing you of not being perfect or not acting how they want you to? Empaths are more vulnerable to cognitive dissonance and the narcissist abusing feelings of empathy and the wish to help others. If you are an empath, I recommend watching my video going into the unhealthy dynamics of the empath-narcissist relationship. The fourth warning signal is being love-bombed into the relationship. A clear red flag is being won over at the start of the relationship in quite a fast pace. You might not even remember clearly falling in love, and possibly you remember having some early doubts about whether you felt the same amount of love as this person was showing. Narcissists can be very charming and convincing in their attempt to win you over. You could be fooled by the fake persona the narcissist appears to be. Sadly, winning over leads to trying to eventually control you. In the love-bombing phase, you will get endless compliments, care, attention, admiration, gifts, and everything will seem perfect. The problem is that all this love is conditional and you can't fulfill their unending needs in the long term. Love bombing is part of the narcissistic abuse cycle, which I explain in another video. The first stage of idealization is the perfect stage, where the narcissist does their love bombing and shows conditional love, attention and interest. It will not last, however, and the love will transform into control and devaluation. Good questions to ask yourself are if you feel the amount of love they describe and show, and if you feel you're actually choosing for this relationship or being overwhelmed into it. Take a step back to think about these questions. Your intuition will try to tell you what you feel within. The fifth sign is that this person will never take any responsibility or apologize for their actions. A narcissist can't handle being criticized or being questioned. They will try to push away all responsibility for negative things and blame others for their mistakes or failures. A narcissist has an enormous blind spot about themselves, their connection to others and their limitations. Attempting to give honest feedback, have an honest conversation, or anything close to criticism will result in the narcissist feeling under attack. It puts them off and they can become very defensive. For example, they could respond angry, frustrated, cynical, brush it aside, mirroring you, or by not responding at all and using silent treatments. You can learn more about silent treatment in my video going deeper into this. A narcissist will see it as a form of betrayal when you ask them about something. They have a thirst for approval and validation, and you are attacking their ego. In their mind, they are always right and they will insist on their truth. Try to think about if your partner is capable of honestly taking responsibility and apologizing. Can you have a normal, honest conversation, or does this seem impossible? If this has never happened, it's a clear red flag. This sign of not taking any responsibility works the other way around as well, which is the sixth sign. A narcissist might take credits for things you personally achieve or pull attention towards them at these moments when you should actually be the center of attention. If you achieve something you've worked hard for, they could claim to have helped you a lot, and you would need to be thankful for their support or coaching. They need to hear this appreciation for their part, whether they played a role or not, and claim the attention. It leaves the achievement itself or your own role in the shadows. Another possible reaction could be that they do not give any attention to your accomplishment. Some examples of statements are, I am a great partner for making sure you achieve this promotion. You thrived because of my amazing advice and ideas. You're doing great because of me being here. You did nothing special and were just lucky. If you don't realize this dynamic is going on, it can have an impact on your self-worth. It's dangerous if you start believing you need them or couldn't do it without them. They tend to slowly pull our attention towards them. In the end, the relationship will only be about their needs, which is a very unhealthy dynamic. Therefore, it's important to assess whether this is going on. Think about some positive things you could be proud of and what happened at these moments when you shared them. Did this person allow you to be in the spotlight? Is everything about them in the relationship? If they can't allow you or others to be the center of attention, it's a clear red flag. The seventh sign is that a narcissist needs an unhealthy amount of validation and admiration. They like to talk about themselves and their achievements, qualities, and accomplishments. In groups, they will try to be remembered and impress others. To you, they might sometimes seem like a child seeking for attention. Does your partner need a lot of validation, and what sort of things are they talking about in general? My mother often said it was like she had another child, as my narcissistic father needed the most validation and attention compared to us children. Now, the eighth sign is being obsessed with appearance and external things. A narcissist lives in the world of ego. It's all about their created identity and how they appear to the outside world. Their focus is on their status, being attractive, having material possessions, a social life, career, and thus simply appearing great. They love to show off their wealth and dominance. They want to show they are doing great. Narcissists tend to be organized and neat. It shows that they think about their appearance and they pay a lot of attention to it. Does your partner care a lot about appearance, and is he or she disturbed when something goes wrong in this sense? This could be not going to some party or opportunity to make an appearance and making it a very big deal as if the world was ending. The ninth sign is that a narcissist loves being in control and being in a position dominating others. They have a toolbox full of different kinds of manipulative behaviors. Narcissists have no boundaries in achieving what they want and will always try to push your boundaries. They could blame you, mirror you, smear you, gaslight you, and for certain everything will be a lie or half-truth. When a narcissist shows some form of empathy, it's because they have some ulterior motive to do so. Sadly, they can switch their empathy off in a second, as they don't really care about the feelings of others. They will use anyone or do anything to fulfill their self-serving needs. When dealing with an abusive narcissist, the most painful challenge is simply considering this person could be capable of all these abusive things. They abuse the belief someone couldn't do these manipulative things to you, which is a very brutal thing. The stronger this belief, the more unhealthy the situation can become when in a relationship with a narcissist. Some narcissists use a manipulative method called gaslighting, in which to try to continuously manipulate and brainwash their victims to have more and more self-doubts, and eventually lose their sense of perception, identity, and self-worth. It's done very slowly and it's very abusive behavior. You can learn more about this manipulative behavior in my video going into gaslighting. The 10th warning sign is being envious. In general, there can be quite some envy towards others with wealth or power. It seems like an ongoing comparison involving a lot of frustration, believing others are envious of them, and a lot of negativity concerning others. It shows they are very attached to this competition, and this can feel very intense. A narcissist can also be very envious of your close relationships with others. At first, they will say how lovely your relationship is with your family and or friends. Later on, they will emphasize any doubts or negative feelings you have about them and start criticizing them. A stealthy narcissist will even try to manipulate you into criticizing them yourself by simply emphasizing negative thoughts and asking manipulative questions. They need control, and you having close relationships with others is a lack of control and thus uncertainty for them. Think about whether this person seems to be very involved in comparing to others or saying others are involved in this game. It actually only shows the thinking process of themselves. If they simply can't let this go, it's a clear sign of narcissism. The 11th sign is that there is no balance when it comes to a narcissist. They are fully devoted to you, and the next moment they fully ignore you. This hot and cold behavior is typical. As long as you do as they please and their needs are met, it will be great, but when they expect different things, they can turn on you. It's thus a transactional dynamic and very black and white behavior. Their reactions can be quite unpredictable and disproportionate. A narcissist doesn't consider the feelings or needs of others, but rather sees others as an extension of themselves. Think about whether you recognize this dynamic in your interactions. The last warning sign I will discuss is you becoming more isolated and dependent on this person. In a relationship, a narcissist often will try to isolate you from your friends and family in some way. They try to create a web of control, which consists of people they can manipulate and control. It can be very hard to see if you have become stuck inside the web. You can learn more about how this works in my videos going into the web of control. It describes how a narcissist slowly tries to isolate you and make you more dependent on them. It also has some questions to ask yourself and explains how to deal with the narcissist web. Now, clearly, as we can see from all these warning signs, having a relationship with a narcissist is very unhealthy. Your energy will be drained and you need to constantly cross your own boundaries and become less like yourself. If you recognize some or many of these warning signs, you might be dealing with a narcissist or at least an unhealthy relationship. It's very challenging to think about whether someone you love might be a narcissist. It doesn't make you a bad person to seek information on narcissism. It simply tells you this person probably shows unhealthy or manipulative behavior and you feel something is off. You should take this seriously and try to trust your intuition. In the end, the best advice when dealing with a narcissist is to get out as soon as possible and go no contact. It's important to then shift the attention from the narcissist to yourself. Your worth, your own kindness, love and compassion. My YouTube channel and website is full of hopefully helpful content to learn more about narcissism and the process of dealing with this. It's made with kindness and compassion. I wish you strength and more kindness in the future. Subscribe to my channel if you wish to stay updated. Thank you for listening.